Good morning and welcome. My name is Jennifer Obricky and I'm one of the Can-Am trainers for Proven Job Management and Proven Smart Tech Mobile. In today's session, we'll be reviewing the next level of evolution for the Proven Smart Tech Mobile app. Just a few housekeeping issues before we get started. All attendees will be muted during the session to cut down on any background noise or interference. We also recommend that all attendees turn off their video cameras. This session will be recorded and made available via Dropbox once the conference concludes. All sessions will include a PDF guide outlining what was covered and what is coming. These outlines will be made available via a bulk mailer and uploaded to the PSA video library once the conference concludes. Questions can be entered into the chat box during the session, and they will be reviewed at the end of the session. If we run out of time for all questions to be answered, they will be responded to directly once the session concludes. If questions are not asked during the session, they can always be sent directly to our support team at support@canamsys.com. In today's session, we're going to review a few new features that are already currently available, as well as some enhancements made to the mobile app menus. We're going to take a look at some security settings applicable to some of the items relevant in the mobile app. And we're going to also take a look at what's up and coming for the future for 2020 with the mobile application. To start off, we're going to stay in our presentation here just so I'm not hopping back and forth between the mobile app and the PowerPoint here. So I do have some screenshots taken from the mobile application to further articulate what changes have been made to the main menu on the Proven Smart Tech mobile app. At the very top there, when we are clocked into a job, we will now have a visual cue of that. At the very top, it will list the job name and job number and the address details for the job that we're currently clocked into. We have also added some additional fields to let the user know how long they've been clocked into that particular job, or when they clocked into that job, and how long they've been clocked into. Below that, towards the bottom, we do have a last sync data field there, letting the user know the last time that they've had a positive data sync with the web application. We've also redesigned the layout of the menu itself. We've added a new feature called My Schedule to the existing jobs menu. We've also added back, by popular demand, the transfer equipment menu, so it's now easily located up front and center. And we've also combined previously our Sync Now and Sync History menu options into one menu item called Sync Info. And finally, we moved the log out button from the very top of the menu to the bottom just for ease of use. Going into one of our new features that we released for the mobile application is My Schedule. My Schedule will now allow the user that's logged into the mobile application to view their own schedule or to view all scheduled events for the company. Now that is all controlled under our role security in our web application. And we're going to get to that in just a few minutes. I'm going to show you how to make those changes depending upon what you want each role to have access to in the mobile app. So let's say technicians, we want them to only see their own appointments, but our PMs need to see all appointments regardless if they're assigned to them or not. Just a side note, in order for scheduled appointments to be visible in the mobile app, they do have to be job related, meaning that the appointment must be assigned to a work order in order for it to be visible. Now, these work orders do not have to be detailed. They simply just need to be attached to the appointment in our schedule screen. In regards to viewing the mobile or the schedule from the mobile app, the user is only able to see 7 days. And the company will be able to set what 7 days the user will see. And this is done through our company settings. Our default setting for the mobile application will set it to a static week. So we're going to see Sunday through Saturday. Or you have the option of seeing a rolling week, where we would see today's events plus 6 days out for a total of 7 days. So depending upon what your company's preference is, you can make that selection in our company settings. Now we're going to go briefly into the web, so I'm going to hop over to our PSA web. So I'm currently logged into one of my demo databases here. And I'm going to go over to my settings menu. Now, in regards to the individual roles seeing the schedule, their own versus all is under roles. We're going to pick the applicable role security. Under jobs, and under schedule, we have the view own, which would allow the user for that role security to only see their appointments that they're scheduled to, or the mobile sync all schedule, which will sync all appointments to the mobile app regardless if that user is assigned to that appointment. Now, in regards to the actual setting for the database and how we see our appointments in the mobile app, that's in our company settings. Once we're within company settings, we're going to go to jobs, down to PSA mobile sync. We're going to have the ability to choose this right here. If we want it to be a rolling 7, we would check our checkbox week starting today. Going back out to our presentation here. Now there's one more area that I want to talk about before we go into, I'm just going to back up a little bit here. Another new feature that we've added is our auto clock out. This feature will clock an employee out if they've been clocked into a consecutive or a job for more than your preset consecutive hours. Again, this is controlled at the web level. When the user exceeds the max allotment for being clocked into a single job, the user will receive a prompt letting them know that they've been clocked out automatically. Again, this setting can be defined in the company settings. Now, best practice recommendations is we set the max mobile time clock hours to the maximum consecutive hours a user would potentially be clocked into a single job. Not for a single day, but simply for a single job. So on average, even with an overtime scenario, we'd want to take that into consideration to set that so we don't make sure that we prematurely clock someone out of the mobile app. Now back in company settings, that setting is available again under company settings, jobs, PSA mobile sync jobs here, and we're going to set our max mobile time clock hours. Currently I have mine set to 9. That's a good threshold to where I wouldn't necessarily have an individual working more than 9 hours on a particular job at one time. Now, depending upon your company, you might have a better fit from 10 to 12 or even 14. but we do encourage you to use the smallest increment possible and not set it to a 24-hour period. We're going to go into some of our enhancements made to the mobile app and recently. And for this part of the presentation, I am going to go ahead and share my mobile application that I'm currently logged into. So just give me one moment to switch over. I've got my mobile app installed on my mobile device, and I'm going to go ahead and click on it to open it. Now I'm currently already logged into the mobile application, but you would be prompted to enter your user credentials to log in, and note that your credentials are the same for the web as they are for the mobile application. So we're going to start with our job area. I'm going to locate and go into a job by selecting Jobs My Schedule. I'm going to select a job to view, and I'm going to go ahead and select my top job there for Robert Wilson. Once I'm in the job, you're going to notice that we've added the ability to clock in from the mobile app on the job itself. So in the upper right-hand corner there, we have that clock in button, and we have the start and end time for that particular appointment. Now, if the job does not have an applicable appointment, we would simply not see the scheduled start and scheduled end detail. We've also made a change to the ordering of the job dates. They now appear in a logical order, typically from what you would see from the natural progression of a job. So we're having our loss on top there, claim, received, contacted, inspected, completed estimate, actual start, and so on and so forth. Below that, we're capturing the full employee relationships that we have set in web. So we're not only going to see internal employee relationships assigned, but we're going to also see any company information as well as any contact information. So on this particular one, I have an insurance company associated as well as a TPA, and that I have a contact at that insurance company. Now, depending upon the information that's entered in the web application, you'll notice that I have some quick link buttons next to my phone numbers, next to my emails, and even on my address. These links will allow you to go into your phone's default settings for maps, or take you indirectly into your phone dialer for your phone numbers. And for your email, it will take you into your mobile application's default email system. So again, you don't have to navigate away to pull up in your phone or to dial a number. We simply click the link and it'll allow us to make that phone call right away. We're going to go over to our next option. We're actually going to skip over notes. There hasn't been too much change to the notes feature, allowing you to add and view notes on the jobs itself. But we're going to focus in on the enhancements made recently to the photo area. You'll notice that we've added some areas called file name and prompt to annotate. And once we choose files, we're going to have the ability to select or create our directory or file. So for demonstration purposes, I'm going to go ahead and enter a file name. And again, I'm simply clicking into the field itself, typing in the name of the file name. I'm going to select Choose Files to select some images. Once I'm happy with the images I've selected, I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. You'll notice that once I've selected some images, the directory has now appeared for me to make my selection. But just so you notice that when I enter my file name living room, it automatically labels the photos for me. And it does give it a number sequence after the photos because we can't have a duplicate file name in the web application. So it simply adds a number after the file name. Now, when we use the Choose Files button, if we do want to annotate the photo, we do have to click on the photo itself, and it does open us up into another menu, allowing us to add a description. Once I'm happy with my description or my annotation, I can go ahead and hit my check mark in the upper right-hand corner, and we see my description's been added. Once I'm happy with my file names and descriptions, I can go ahead and then navigate to my directory and choose where I want these photos to go in the web application. Right now, as it sits, this would, with just a little tilde there, the squiggly line, means it's our main directory. So it drop those photos on the main directory on the job in the web application. But if I wanted these photos to be dropped into a particular folder, I can use my downward arrow, and I can select my folder. Now, if I don't see the folder of my choosing, I can create a folder as well by clicking the plus sign. It's going to allow me to create that file name. So in this case, I can just say living room. And I can hit my save button. And you'll notice now that my directory name has changed, letting me know that the photos that I'm about to upload are going to go to the living room photo. So I'm going to go ahead and hit upload. And I'm going to wait for my banner across the top before doing any other commands on the phone. It's very important that we wait for the prompts to complete themselves before navigating to any other menu options, just to make sure that the data is being transferred successfully to the web application. Now, if you do decide to use the camera feature, which would allow you to take photos on demand, and we did check that prompt to annotate, if you want to add your descriptions while taking the photos, we want to make sure we check that checkbox and hit our camera button. And that will pop a menu item after you take your photo to add your description. Unfortunately, when I cast my phone like this, it doesn't like me adding annotations, but I do have a screenshot of that back in the presentation that I'll show you momentarily, just so you can get the idea of what the menu item looks like. But we do have the ability to add that annotation or description by using either feature camera or choose files. Now, if we want to view the photos that are already existing on the job back in the web application, we do have the ability to view those thumbnails. And I'm simply going to click the cloud arrow with the downward arrow. And it's going to bring in any photos, plus any photos that I've taken. So you can see there that top photo was already existing on the file in the web. And then I've added these additional photos here. When we're done reviewing the photos, we can go ahead and click the X in the upper left-hand corner, and it collapses our thumbnail view. Moving over to our next menu item within the job is the forms. Now, we've had several enhancements in regards to how forms are created and what's compatible with the mobile application. Additional data sets are now available. So if you've had your forms created a while ago and were informed that they weren't available, we do have more data types in regards to currency, picture boxes, tables, which is a popular one. So if there are any charts or tables that you have on your current forms, those are now compatible with the mobile application. We can also bring in marketing position types or names. So we can bring in our assigned adjuster. We can also bring in that assigned adjuster's contact information if we need to. And we also have the ability to now bring in the customer details. So in those cases where our customer is different from our job, we now have the ability to see the customer information on those custom forms from the mobile application. Another great feature that was recently added was the auto generate of the PDF attachment. So when we do save and complete our form, it automatically generates a PDF for us and adds it to the job file under the Attachments tab in the web. Now, you do have the ability to control how that auto-generated PDF is captured. And this is done within the company settings. Now, if you find that you use the same form over and over, it's going to create a lot of PDFs on your job file. If you want the most recent saved form to replace the existing PDF, there is an option in company settings, jobs, under that same area, PSA mobile sync, called mobile to replace PDF. And once checked, it will then replace the PDF with the most current version of the form saved. Now, if you want to maintain your history or you don't want to override your existing PDFs, you would simply leave that checkbox off, and that is the default setting. Now, I do want to go over one of the common questions that we have with the mobile app in regards to job dates. Job dates are able to be entered from the mobile app through a custom form and update the job back in the web application. Now, I've created just a simple form, and if anyone's interested in this form, we can be more than happy to add it to your database. But this would allow our users from the mobile app to add job dates back to the web. So I'm going to go ahead and use my pencil icon to select my form. I have it simply called the Job Dates Mobile App. I'm going to make my selection, and I'm going to hit my Add button. Once the form comes in, we're going to be able to see the job name, the job number. And if there are already dates on the job file, we're going to see those dates. And we have the ability to add job dates. So my inspected here is available. I can go ahead and set it. And when I save this form, it's going to go ahead and update the web application with my inspected date. Now, this is just a really basic form just for dates in general, but you do have the capacity to update your current custom form. So if we're getting a signature on a work authorization, we can have that form updated to add that approved date in your web database. Or our COCs when they're being signed. We can have that date be captured and update the job back in the web application. So we're not having to go back and add it manually after the fact. We can have that custom form update that date field for us. So here I'm just going to go ahead and scroll to my bottom and save my custom form. And again, when I do this, it's going to create a PDF copy of this form, and it's going to also update my dates back in the web application. We're now going to go over to our equipment screen. And at the top here, we do have the ability, it's preset to transfer to job. Now, when we make an equipment selection, I'm going to use, typically we would use the camera or the scanner to scan your barcodes. Today, I'm going to just manually select my items from my list. Now you'll see that I have my equipment placed on the job site at the top there. Now if you enter your room in your room field, it will automatically add the room at the very top, letting you know where that piece of equipment is located in the job. Or at the house, I should say, the lost location. It will also indicate how many days this equipment's been on site. It will also turn red once it exceeds the max days we have set for the equipment. And if the user does navigate away from the equipment menu before returning all equipment back to the warehouse, it will give the user a prompt. And not in all scenarios would we be returning equipment at that time, but at least it gives them a visual cue just in case we don't leave any equipment behind. I'm going to go back to our PowerPoint presentation. And I'll pick up my share again here, just one moment, back in. Just to kind of show you before I open my thing up here, just so I can show you the annotation. That we saw back on the photos. There's that screenshot there for you to view. When you are using the camera feature, you do have the ability to add your annotation and enter that description. I just wanted to show that real quick as I was not able to demonstrate it. Now, new enhancements that we have in the works for the mobile application. We are going to be bringing to the mobile application the ability to edit existing forms captured on the job from the mobile application. This would allow our users to open an existing form that's already been completed, if it has not been saved, to make any additional edits to that particular form. We expect to see this in the summer of 2020. We are also working on the remote signing, the ability to email a link to the client for signature. And we expect to see this in the fall. We're also working on the ability to mark attachments, photos, and documents public from the mobile application. This public feature, for those of you that are familiar, integrates with our exact analysis and our proven customer portal. And we expect to see that launch around fall, winter. We will also be making enhancements to the ability to zoom in on those pictures that are already existing on the job, allowing us to see additional detail. And we expect to see this in the fall. That does conclude our session for this morning on the mobile application. I will now take a look at any questions that we have from the group. Oh, we have quite a few questions. I'm not sure we have time to review all of these questions today in session, but we'll go ahead and take a look at a few of these. We have a question in regards to can the forms calculate simple mathematical calculations yet? The only calculations that the forms are capable of doing right now is the addition. If you have forms currently that need to be reviewed, please reach out to our support department to let you know what your options are. We do have a question in regards to will the log note templates be available on the mobile? I know there's been some talk about that. I'm not sure if that is where that's at in the development queue. We would have to get back to you on that one. There was a question that will this update the desktop too? Now, the way that all of the applications are integrated is that when we start with a mobile app, the mobile app communicates to the web, and then the web communicates back down to the desktop. So any photos and documents that we're potentially using the mobile application to get into the system, they will flow downward into the desktop. Now, there are a few settings that need to be set within the company settings in regards to photos if we want them to be kept in the web or if we want them to also sync to the desktop application. Again, if this is something that you're interested in or you want to check, feel free to reach out to our support department so we can take a look at your settings in company settings. Now for all the other questions, we'll go ahead and email the responses out back to the individuals. I thank you for your time today. We do have our next sessions starting this afternoon at 1 p.m. with job management. Thank you.